Dennis Quaid's new movie, Reagan, is out, and, unsurprisingly, it's proven very divisive, with a big gap between critics' and audiences' responses. Reagan, starring actor Dennis Quaid as the titular president, Ronald Reagan, is a movie that falls somewhere between biopic and faith-based drama, though it is based on the 2006 book The Crusader, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of Communism by Paul Kanger. The movie opens in 1981, shortly before Reagan is shot in an attempted assassination by John Hinckley Jr. The rest of the movie flashes back through Reagan's past before moving forward again. Reagan takes particular care to explore the ways that becoming a born-again Christian and an anti-union activist and FBI informant in Hollywood shaped the radically conservative views he held in his later political life, particularly his years as President of the United States. Unsurprisingly, Reagan has wildly divided critics and the audience is already predisposed to see it thanks to its focus and tone. Even so, Reagan did top the box office during a slow Labor Day weekend. What critics dislike about Reagan, why it currently has 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics have pointed at the movie's thin characters and schmaltzy, idolizing tone. Currently, Reagan holds a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes, a dismal score regardless of how one spins it. Reagan was always going to be a hard sell with most audiences, professional or otherwise, but film critics have been particularly unsparing in their thoughts about the biopic. The main point of criticism across the board is that the characters are simply boring and not well drawn, more two-dimensional, tropey sketches of characters than fully realized, complex human beings who make for a compelling watch. Considering the whole point of a biopic is to dive into a particular historical figure's life, that figure needs to be compelling enough to carry a whole narrative, but Reagan appears to have failed at that. The movie has also been criticized for pandering so hard to a specific audience that it comes very close to self-parody. That, argues critics, is because the movie has gone incredibly far to avoid and ignore any of Reagan's very well-documented flaws, both as a man and as a policy setter. It engages in shameless adoration and adulation of the former president, painting a wholly unrealistic portrait of Ronald Reagan, making him less of a man and more of a holy warrior for a conservative-only God. In that, critics argue, the movie is as much a faith-based piece of fiction as it is a biopic about a real, divisive person. The quotes bear this out, a fawning biopic light on subtlety, says Richard Roper of Chicago Sun-Times. Nell Minow of Roger Ebert writes, it comes so close to parody that it brings to mind the Saturday Night Live Mastermind skit. Eric Childress of Movie Madness podcast did not hold back when he called Reagan a disingenuous collection of the greatest hits played for the fans that neglects any of the flaws or the consequences of his policies. But perhaps the most brutal commentary came from Sean Burns of North Shore Movies, a children's film for the adult diaper set. Reagan's 98% RT audience score explained what the verified ratings say. Audiences have praised the movie's focus on Reagan's faith and conservative principles. Penelope Ann Miller as Nancy Reagan and Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan hugging in a plane in Reagan 2024. Conversely, audiences have painted a glowing picture of Reagan, giving it an extraordinary 98% on Rotten Tomatoes' new audience popcorn meter, a rating system open only to those who have purchased a ticket for the movie. Audiences have praised what they see as Reagan's heartwarming journey, that it is inspirational and uplifting, and that it is true to history, though it should be noted that the accuracy of the movie, both in the complexities of the historical events and of the character, is questionable.